On to rural news. Maya Burry is in with us now. And kia ora, Maya, this is an unusual one. Honey exporters are trying to import their product back into New Zealand?
Morena, Susie, that's right. It sounds a bit odd, but they have actually hit a major barrier in doing this because despite the honey being produced here, our strict biosecurity rules that mean once that honey's left our shores, it is very hard to bring it back in. But essentially the reason these exporters are wanting their product back is because of troubles in the Japanese market. It is a big export market for honey, but figures from the Japanese government, they show that 5 shipments of honey have been rejected this year for exceeding Japan's accepted glyphosate limits. It's worth noting that the Ministry for Primary Industries, it says that the trace levels of glyphosate detected, they don't present any food safety issues, but nonetheless Japan not satisfied with these shipments. And Apiculture New Zealand's Chief Executive Karen Koss says the affected exporters, they want to retrieve their honey, but that's proving a challenge.
Some companies have been caught, and due to New Zealand's strict import regulations, it's not easy to, it's pretty much impossible to send it back to New Zealand because of those really strict import regulations. So I think we've just been talking to MPI as well around that as to how we can actually make that easier for people to get their honey back to New Zealand.
That's a bit ironic, isn't it, Karen, that a product that's left New Zealand shores then can't be brought back in?
It's very ironic, and unfortunately it's because we do have such strict import regulations. Honey is not allowed to be imported into New Zealand, other honeys, but we think there's got to be a way for New Zealand to get its honey back, and it could be as simple as getting an independent verifier, for example, to inspect the goods to make sure the tamper evidence seals are still intact. So those are the sorts of things that we've been discussing with MPI.
Do you know how much product is stuck in Japan at the moment?
No, I'm not aware of it, and I know it seems to be isolated to a couple of companies, but look, I'm not aware of the full extent.
That's Apiculture New Zealand's Karen Koss, and in a statement MPI says it is working through the options with these exporters. It says that could include them providing further information to prove that honey is safe, or another option could be redirecting the honey to other markets. And it says that there is now mandatory glyphosate testing in place for all honey exports to Japan, and it thinks that these 5 shipments, they left the country before that was rolled out.
Now, a global apple company using virtual reality to train Hawke's Bay locals in positions that it's struggling to fill.
Yes, so TNG Global, it's partnered with a local education provider to deliver a supply chain cadetship, and as part of that, it involves using virtual reality to train job seekers on forklifts. So during the peak of the apple season, TNG employs around 75 forklift operators in the region, and they help out in the pack house and the cool stores. But the company's head of change and capability, Anna Fraser, says there is a shortage of skilled forklift drivers, and she says it's important that time is invested into making sure people are trained to do the job.
We can give the candidates the skills and confidence and the experience of forklift driving within the 2-week time frame, and that rolls into part of our supply chain cadetship, which is a wider program across 11 months of employment, where the cadets work across a number of our areas of our apple business, so in the pack houses, cool stores and the orchards.
And Anna Fraser says the virtual reality forklift experience is pretty much the same as the real deal.
So the virtual reality replicates the physical environment and gives them quite an immersive experience. So it brings the training along on quite an efficient and effective level, and they come out with a similar level of technical competence to someone who's been driving the forklift for at least a year.
That's Anna Fraser from Turners and Growers, and that's the rural news for this morning.
Thank you very much. Maya Burry there with the rural update.